Welcome everyone to Dearly Departed Tours to honor our little friend Michu. Hello everyone in Facebook land. Thank you for joining us today. It's a real honor to have this little man here with us today and to be the guardian of his earthly remains. Now Richard, who arranged this, wrote a bit of a bio of Michu for me to read. And also my friend Kevin, who's been on the tour a couple of times, worked for Ringling Brothers for a long time, and he got some of Michu's old colleagues from Ringling Brothers to send some thoughts, send some memories and thoughts of him. So first up, Richard Lamont, I'm going to read your bio of Michu. So on April 28, 1998, Mihaly Michu Mežeros became an American citizen. He would talk about that day for the rest of his life. "This is the biggest day of my life," the 33-inch tall Mihaly Michu Mežeros said. "I'm the happiest man in the world." Michu was born October 1st, 1939, to a family of 2 brothers and 1 sister. Michu left Hungary after fighting a lifetime of discrimination over his height, and after an adulthood of battling unscrupulous operators of the Hungarian National Circus over pay. In the circus ring where he worked, Mežeros Michu looked every inch the star as he rode in a tiny little cart, waving at the children that were all taller than he was. But outside, he was an outcast who experienced daily what it was like to be really literally looked down upon. He would later say, "Life was very hard for me there. The happiest day of my life was when I arrived at Kennedy Airport." Michu was born and called a midget. He was born at 2.5 pounds. He worked as a feature performer in this country with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus until 1985, when he grew weary of all the traveling that goes along with life under the big top. After the circus, he acted in films like Pee-wee's Big Top Pee-wee, The Vatican Inquirer, Waxworks, and most famously Elf. Elf, he was in Elf's body, and the costume. And also this Waxworks is kind of funny. Waxworks is a horror movie that we've actually been showing on the horror movie tour for a couple of years. So it's kind of neat because he's been part of our tour for quite a while. Now he has invested his Hollywood income. He had invested his Hollywood income in hopes of becoming a land developer. His first project was a 4-unit townhouse that he bragged will have the lowest price in his new home city of Hawthorne, which is where he laid down stakes when it finished. Because of bad deals and even worse real estate partners, he never succeeded in this endeavor. The site of the homes was near a street that had been later named Mežeros, or Michu Lane. They named it after him because it was the smallest street in Hawthorne. Isn't that cute? He was acclaimed as the world's smallest man in the 70s by the Guinness Book of World Records, although a 28-inch man was listed in the 1989 edition. But that man was a dwarf, and Michu was a midget. And midgets are perfectly proportioned, and dwarfs tend to not be. So technically, as a fully proportioned person, Michu was the smallest man in the world. In his resume, press clippings, he was billed as the world's shortest man. Now in 1984, the biggest pop star in the world, Michael Jackson, saw Michu at the circus and wanted to meet him. And they came back to the dressing room and said, "I like how you dance." Michu told Richard this, and he told me that, "Imagine Michael told me this," he exclaimed. He was very excited. And from that moment, Michael Jackson and Michu became friends. In the late 80s, Michael would ask Michu and his caretaker and friend, Dennis Varga, to accompany him on tour, and that continued into the 90s for the Bad, Dangerous, and His Story tours. Michu would introduce him at the beginning. And on May 26, 1994, Michael Jackson married the King's daughter, Lisa Marie, and Michu was there at the ceremony. And there's pictures of that you're going to see in a little bit. And he took Michael back to Hungary with him, showed him around Budapest. Michael Jackson paid medical expenses of a 4-year-old Hungarian boy who needed a liver transplant. And while in Budapest, he and Michu filmed a video promoting his next album and tour. Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley distributed toys with Michu to children across the country. Michael loved children, Michu once said. He would never, ever hurt children. And then now, these are quotes from Michu, okay? I mean, fuck all those negative people who he screamed, fuck all those negative people, as often he would when people talk negatively about Michael Jackson. I loved him and he loved me. Michael would use Michu in his promos, his Pepsi commercial, not the Pepsi commercial, but a Pepsi commercial, a very famous Pepsi commercial that he did later on, and designed special costumes for the mighty Michu. Michael planned to have Michu and the Varga family move to Neverland, where he had a special ranch home built for Michu, and with special designed furniture, little furniture for Michu. The furniture was made by an Italian furniture maker who made a bedroom set for the Pope, actually. Now, when the allegations about Michael Jackson and the abuse, Michael went into hiding but never lost contact with Michu. He would often call him in the middle of the night or send for him to visit wherever he was. Having Michu dance and sing would comfort Michael. It's very Twin Peaks. When Michael lost Neverland, they lost the possibilities of having a home there. Michu visited Michael a week before he died in his home, and Michael wanted him to come to London with him to be in that show, that month-long show with him. And Michu said, "I miss him every day," crying. Those fuckers killed him. Michu had a temper. On June 13, 2016, Dennis Varga announced that Michu was in a coma in the Los Angeles hospital, and after he discovered him unconscious on the bathroom floor. He had suffered numerous health issues since a stroke 8 years earlier. He died at Providence Little Company of Mary Medical Center in Torrance on the night of June 13. Unfortunately, as with so many other former stars, medical bills and investments left Michu in a bad way financially. Dennis made Richard Lamont, who was our friend Richard, executor of his personal possessions and remains. And after years of working for Ringling Brothers, they completely turned their back on any request to sponsor for funding for a burial for Michu. The request was met with a firm no thank you from the owners, the Felt family. Right. Oh, right. The Ringling Brothers people said no thank you when they were reached out to for possible burial expenses. So Richard hopes to fund a future burial, probably across the street at Hollywood Forever, but now he's happy that Michu will be here for people to see, because Michu was a showman. And now I'm going to read a couple of quotes. My friend Kevin, who's with the circus for a long time, talked to a few people that knew him on the road with the circus. And I'll read a couple of quotes. And again, these are his words, a lot of these, not mine, even though I would use them. Drinking, smoking, pinching, grabbing, get the drift. So sorry. See, it's another one. Only thing with me, this is a guy named Bobby. Only thing with me was him, that he wrote that him and John, who was another circus performer, drove a Bugatti around for opening the show. And one time they were playing in South Carolina, and this Bobby took a sticker that defined a gamecock, which is a rooster, as I understand it, as an ass, kicking a chicken and taped it to his car. Michu didn't like that very much. That was Bobby Cox, who toured with them. Now, this person, Randy Peterson, was on the Ringling Brothers during Michu's final season with Ringling Brothers. Here's a story. On the sideshow touring with Ringling, I walked an elephant in spec, and right in front of me, every show, was the float Michu and Khan rode on. Khan was the giant. Michu hated him. Michu would be screaming at him over who knows what, just about daily. Many times you would hear, "I'm not getting up there with that piece of shit." But when they went through the curtain, he was a true performer. The fun was everybody waiting for them to come back out of it, and he seemed to be larger than normal. Pardon me, these are Facebook messages, so I'm having a hard time with differentiating the sentences. Seemed to be larger than normal, verbal chastising. Sometimes there was a crowd. The second one was closing night at Madison Square Garden, last show. They had a troupe from Gabon, South Africa. They did all kinds of crazy stuff in traditional African costumes, grass skirts and all. The blow off of their act was something to do with fire. Actually, it was a fire jump rope that they were using. And one of the grass skirts caught on fire, and this gentleman went running down the hall to the closest dressing room he could get to, and that was Michu's dressing room. And he threw open the door and ran in and jumped in the shower. Everybody had heard on the radio that this had happened, and that the performer was okay. But the whole time Michu was in the background screaming at the top of his lungs every bad word known to man. "Get this fucking fireball out of this fucking shower." I said, "I never heard the management move so fast." There are lots of stories about Michu. They would talk quite a bit. This is the same gentleman, Randy. I was one of the 3 people who told Michael Jackson was coming in LA, and it might be Louisiana, to see him in the show. But he was coming in secret, so nobody could know. He was an incredible person and had stories that one could only think were made up movie plots. And Michu used to love posing with his daughter because they were both the same size. Now, a couple of other quick stories that I'm going to share, and these are going to be a little bit different. This is Laura and John. Now, they were both his handlers at Ringling Brothers. They were both contestants in The Amazing Race. Thank you for your insight and your words. And they were both in Water for Elephants, the movie Water for Elephants. Now, this is John. This is John's words. Laura and I were very fortunate to be able to spend so much time with Michu. We would drive him from city to city in his motorhome. Michu would always insist on paying for the gas when we got to a gas station. Anyone that knew Michu back then knew that he had long hair and he smoked. Michu would always insist on paying for the gas when we got to the gas station. Well, he wasn't tall enough to be seen, and he would flash a $100 bill at the clerk, but the clerk would only see the little hand with a $100 bill. And the clerk would lean over the counter and go, "Wow, how old is she?" I love your stories. Well, that was the worst thing you could say to Michu. He would go off on the clerk and walk out. Michu loved playing with people. One day we were in Tennessee and stopped at a gas station. Some guys were flirting with Laura. That's John's wife. I was arguing with them, and Michu came out and started yelling and waving his hand at them. It automatically diffused the situation, and we had a great laugh out of it. Then there was the time there was the Dr. Michu clown gag that they did together. I was the first of May clown, which means a new performer, a new clown or a new performer in the first season of a traveling circus. I didn't know that before, but that's what a first of May clown is. And I was the first year clown. I could not believe I was working with all the senior clowns as well as Michu, the smallest man in the world. Michu loved that gag. Richard, a very tall senior clown, would carry Michu in a doctor's bag, put the bag on the operating table. Michu would come out of the bag, do a little dance, and then start operating on me. What most people didn't realize was Michu loved kicking me, stepping on my face during the gag, and made me pay because I was the first of May clown. I loved every minute of it as well. I would pinch him on his leg, and he would squeal like a little pinch. I love it. What I didn't realize was I was giving Michu back black and blue, and he showed me one day, and I felt so bad. We had a great time. Michu was full of life, loved playing and messing with people. He was very proud and happy the day he started working, and he never stopped working. And Neverland Ranch with Michael Jackson. He even went on Michael Jackson's honeymoon when he married Lisa Marie. He came to visit us and brought his photo album of the honeymoon with Michu and Lisa Marie Presley. Those are the lovely accounts from friends of Michu, and I'm thrilled to have him because it really gives us some insight into the kind of person that he was. And I'm thrilled to literally have him here. I think he's got a great spot here. And this actually is how tall he was. This is life size.
It's got the same as Bella.
Even shorter.
No, Bella's standing on a pedestal.
Oh, still close.
Yeah.
Now, this is a copy of the Michu Lane sign. There is actually a real one, but when they presented it to him, along with the key to the city of Hawthorne, which is in here with him, they gave him a copy of the sign. So that's going to be up there with him once we unveil it. And I think now I'm going to unveil it.
Could you stand with him in front of you again?
Sure.
He'll leave that you briefly. It's just a beautiful shot.
Like that?
Yes, that's actually, if you don't mind. Thank you so much.
Tall.
What is it, 2.5 feet?
33 inches.
And as we toast, we have mimosas, champagne,
Oh,
or
Jonesy's got mimosas for us.
Thank you.
or virgins.
There are virgins.
Just the orange juice. Anybody?
Thanks.
If we want just orange juice, maybe champagne or mimosas.
I want the real deal. Don't be doing that virgin.
Oh, honey, you haven't been a virgin.
Oh!
Wow.
I'm not hearing it.
This is being broadcast to thousands of your potty mouth.
Shoulder's really good in that.
Are you looking at it?
So sniffy. Give us a moment, okay? I want us all to be here with champagne in our hands.
And if those of you at home have any booze,
That's
get
right.
it out now.
That's right. But yeah, we have been preparing for this. We've had Michu here for about a week and a half now, and it just terrifically coincided with the dearly departed weekend. And every year, what we've been doing is raising money. Whenever we do the dearly departed weekend, we've raised money to mark a celebrity's grave. And this year came here, and we had this beautiful case that we got from Michu, so we were able to furnish that for him. And yeah, so I want to thank Kevin, I want to thank Mary Simpson, I want to thank Stacy Lewis, I want to thank all the nice people who donated money to this. Unannounced, they just said, Mary, my friend Mary, Hollywood Mary is what everyone knows her by, and she moved to
Lancaster.
Pardon?
Lancaster.
Lancaster, and she sent me a check. She says, I'm not going to be there. This is months ago. She said, I'm not going to be there, but here, take this for your donation. I thought that was the sweetest thing. And a few people have taken tours or missed tours, and they said, just keep the money and put it towards the grave. So I thought that was really sweet. So, just wait till everyone gets here. But thank you guys, everyone who donated. The nice man in the Alpha Sculpture today donated as well. So nice. People are so nice. Thank you, my dear. That's Jones. And there's Brian. Brian, come over and say hi. Radio. So, are we ready to roll?
Sure.
We're good? All right. So, everyone, let's welcome Michu to his permanent home.
Oh, nice. To Michu.
So, this is Michu's Walkman. Inside of it is his little Hungarian tape. His little cowboy boots, key to the city, and his robe from Ringling Brothers. So, everyone, cheers to Michu.
Cheers.
Cheers to Michu.
No, he wasn't the voice of Elf, was he?
No.
He was Anne.
That's right. And it was funny because one of the guys said that
Here, I'll come.
when Michu was running, he said he could tell it was Alf. You know?
Because Elf was very funny too.
It's perfect.
The Walkman would be like a boombox for him.
Yeah. You'd be hearing it like this. And that picture of him is perfectly. That's life size. That is his actual size.
Yeah, actual size.
Yeah.
That's a cute little picture of him. So now, he was born from regular sized parents?
I don't know, but I would just usually that's the way it is. I think we know that.
Yeah, was his child, did she grow up to be?
No, he didn't have a child.
Oh,
He was a bit shy when it came to women. I mean, he liked to flirt, but I think if it turned around and he went, he went, he was just really nice, but a little bit shy when it came to ladies, I think. But no, as far as that was not his daughter, that was one of the people that he worked with. He said that he loved posing with his daughter because they're both the same size. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us on Facebook.
Shut it down.
How cool is this?
Okay.